My name is Craig Scott. I'm the CEO of IC Entertainment, entertainment company, and I'm also the star and producer of an upcoming film called "Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare?"
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I have a thespian. Say that slowly for some of y'all who get too excited. I got a thespian by Chief Craig Scott, and he is a serious actor, serious, takes the craft serious, and has a story that I'll let him get into how much he wants to tell, but he definitely had a journey with having to entertain himself for more than 2 decades, and then bringing some of the drama, trauma, even the comical stuff, right, to the big screen. So, Craig Scott, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, my bro?
Man, I'm doing all right. I love how you put that.
Yeah.
That sounds real well, real good. Yeah.
Oh, your story is the one that we see stories like that in the scriptures all throughout the Bible. Where people had to go through, and I'm gonna let you tell the story because again, I told you I don't do sensationalism. If I did, I'd start off and if he did it type, type rhetoric. So give us the game on who you are and how you want us to know you.
Well, like I said, my name is Craig Scott. I'm an actor, an activist, and a filmmaker. I'm working on this film now called "Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare?" And basically, the film is about my life as well as my work as an actor on what was first a one-act play called by the same title. If I were to kind of sum it all up, I'm what they would call old school Black revolutionary who basically paid the price for my militant activity. I started out as as an actor attending Baltimore School for the Arts. I then auditioned and was accepted into Boston University. While at Boston University, I think that's where I, became very politically conscious. I first read Malcolm X, the autobiography of Malcolm X. This was actually the first novel-length book that I actually read from cover to cover, and it literally, changed my life. Began to understand our people's struggle in a whole different context, and basically, I gravitated to a more militant approach to our people's problems. So I became involved in the divestiture movement that was going on at the time when Mandela was being held as a political prisoner in South Africa. So we protested against Boston University and their investment in South Africa. In the course of that, I joined an organization called Men of a Stolen Legacy. We called that Muscles. Through that organization, we met Kwame Ture, learned a lot from him. Eventually, my activism on campus would get me kicked off the campus, kicked out of the campus, basically. As an actor, I had perfect grades, was at least one of the best students, but I was causing too much problems on the campus. So the scholarship money dried up. So I ended up having to return to my hometown of Baltimore City. And there I would join the Nation of Islam. I would rock with them for a little while, but I would eventually leave that organization because it wasn't really a political organization, and I was more interested in political activism. So after leaving that, I then came across another book, the autobiography of Assata Shakur, and that's where I got turned on to the Black Liberation Army and some of their philosophies and techniques, tactics. So I would go on and basically develop a cell of my own. And one of the tactics that the Black Liberation Army would utilize was robbing white financial institutions in order to finance cultural events, political activities within the Black community. And I would duplicate that same tactic. So, well, let's just say this. When we were finally caught, and I just want you to know, like, the COINTEL program is still in effect. It was in effect in the 90s. We didn't know it. They didn't call it that, but the same tactics were being used. We had been infiltrated and didn't know it. So one of the operations that we conducted, ironically, it was the one operation that I didn't go on. This operation would end up leading me into being, incarcerated. And after that, the informant would tell the FBI about other operations that they didn't even know about. So long story short, because of the law that they had at the time, we would end up getting 52 years for the activity. And interestingly enough, the indictment would read conspiracy to rob banks in order to finance an entertainment company, which was IC Entertainment. And this entertainment company was the company that was producing all of the pro-Black events, plays, things of this sort. So I will go on and basically serve 26 years of that 52-year sentence. Ironically enough, when Donald Trump became president, a lot of the laws changed. Yeah. And it is an interesting dichotomy that existed in my case, because it took an extreme right person like Donald Trump, and then an extreme left person like my judge, her name is Catherine Blake, to come together and work something out where myself and my comrades would be able to get out early. So once I got out, I wanted to return to what I love doing, acting, writing, and so I decided to make a film about my life and about that play and the message of that play, Connecticut to Shakespeare. So try to condense a whole lot of stuff for all in one moment. So I hope I covered enough for you.
You definitely did, and let's have a non-Vlad TV moment. But I want to know, with you robbing banks, which something that to get away with, you must have been good at.
Right.
Not perfect because you got caught, but
right.
you were good
exactly.
at, and informents happen. That's why you do your dirt on your lonely people. But if you do dirt, I'm not telling y'all to do that. But some of y'all gotta get like myself, gotta get hit over the head and like, this is real. When you guys were robbing the banks and funding the entertainment company, was any of that money trickling down to people? Like, were you hiring 20 people?
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. We hired security staff. We hired actors. We hired. We had a receptionist. We had. Right now I can't even count how many people we had. We employed, and we paid. And just about every single one of them, were Black and a part of the community. We actually did donations to different Black organizations. We had the pleasure of being one of the first people to give the group Drew Hill a platform to perform at. They had a different name at that time, but we were doing an event, and they came through. The manager asked us to have them perform. So so we were doing a lot as far as giving back. Honestly, like I said, that was the purpose of our reappropriations, if you will. We weren't the kind of dudes that were buying jewelry and cars and all that sort of stuff. That just wasn't my mission. That wasn't what I was into it for. So we definitely were the source of a lot of gainful employment.
Okay, so you were more of the like Sci-Hi the Prince talks about, you know, you guys were more low key than BMF, you know.
Oh no, because in other words, like, you know, just now that you mentioned BMF, we definitely had a no drug dealing policy. That was something that I just wasn't ever going to, you know, get into. And that just came just from my own political philosophies and my, you know, personal beliefs about just how much damage that whole industry, if you will, has done or is doing, you know, to our community. So, you know, that was just something that we just would never participate in. We were also very, very big on making sure that we never attacked any Black-owned financial institutions. In fact, what we would end up doing is we would rob the white banks, get their money, and then deposit it into the Black bank that was in our city. Yeah, so yeah, we were, I was very, 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 very pro Black. I mean, like I said, we took a more militant approach than most.
And is there anything that, you know, in hindsight is always 2020, that
Right.
if you would have looked a little deeper, the informant, you would have been like, he's working for somebody. Like who talks like that, or who says that, or you know, is there any
Well, I'm
one
gonna
little
tell you
thing?
what's interesting is, and this seems to be a universal thing to look out for, especially if you are working in any kind of like structured organization. The minute you give an order to, you know, to do something that, you know, basically has to be done, and the individual just kind of bucks on it, that to me is like the number one indication that something's not right, because you know that in order for an organization to work, there has to be a chain of command. Orders have to be given and have to be, you know, carried out. So when that gets disrupted or that stops, it's reason for that. And talking to other individuals who were in similar, you know, situations, because I learned a lot, being incarcerated for 26 years, and just listening to their stories, they basically came across that same pattern. Like it's almost interesting, like guys who have had people who were part of their organizations, turn on them or flip on them. We all say the same thing. Like we knew this was the one that would do this. It almost was like, 9 out of 10 cases, it was, man, I knew that was the dude, but I just didn't want to do anything, or I didn't want to cut him off, all that sort of thing. But yeah, you definitely know.
Or it's that phone call you get that's just so odd, and you're like, why are
Mm,
we even talking about
I
this?
like
And
that. Oh
why are you
yeah.
acting? Why are you talking like you didn't know about that?
Right,
And,
right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
again, folks, if you're
exactly.
gonna do stuff, do it
Yeah,
on your own.
yeah,
Not that we're
not that bad.
condoning doing
Right.
anything, but
Not at all.
this country and other countries too, especially in the West,
Mm,
have stolen, taken all
mm,
types of things with, and never even apologized for it. Ask Mexico
no.
if they want California back, if they want
Mm.
Tejas back. Ask them,
Yeah, too.
with all their succession talk. So I just want to just
Yeah.
have that real conversation now to get
Mm,
out in 26 years later. I'm
mm.
sure people probably imagine I'm trying to grab one of these things, but there were no flowers waiting for you. There was
Oh no.
no red carpet rolled out.
No,
So,
not at all.
after doing 26 years, how do you get into theater when you have to eat and you don't have,
Mm,
the best support system?
right. Well, I come from a guerrilla theater background, so I I just wasn't like currently. I'm literally working at a pizza shop, and I think I might make a couple $100 every week if I get to work the hours that I need. But I understood that if I was going to create the art that I wanted to create, I would have to make those sacrifices, and I would have to come out of my pocket. And fortunately, I met a young man who, once he heard my story and he got to know me, and he really believed in me. He believed in my talents and my skill, and he also works at a pizza shop, and he was willing to put some of his money up as well. And and that's all we're doing. We're just putting together nickels and dimes enough to make a film and to produce that film and hopefully promote it. So it's really just about being willing to put your money where your mouth is, and go forward. I mean, if we hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here having this interview with you. You follow what I mean? Something as simple as taking $50 here, $20 there, putting it together and making it happen. Yeah.
But you also, Baltimore School for the Arts, Boston University, you have put your, it's like anything you focus on. When you were focused on robbing banks, you rob banks. When you were focused on entertainment, you get entertainment. Whatever you put your focus on, and I'm going to ask you more detail, off air probably. Why are you not?
You're going to ask me now because the people want to know.
Yeah, well, I want to know, why are you not at a local mentoring shop or a local, place mentoring kids that are just coming out of the system, because they need to hear your story, and you're still young enough where you can make it look good. I mean, you could be, Morpheus in the next Matrix since they want to change Morpheus,
exactly. And I got the round glasses already, so I got perfect image.
yeah. So
and the bald head,
the bald head. So why are you not? You could be at the pizza shop. You might like that job. You might want to own one. But why are you not also at the mentoring shops, at the drug rehabs, the psych wards, where people really need your energy and your story?
Right. The opportunity. Like I'm more than open to do it. But because right now I'm living in High Point, North Carolina, so it's a relatively small town or city, and I'm sure that they have programs like that, but I haven't come across them. They haven't been offered to me, and quite frankly, I'm struggling. You know what I mean? So that would be something that I would have to do once I kind of get myself on my feet, because I'm living with family members. I don't have a car. I'm at the rock bottom. I just got out in May 13th of 2020. So I'm slowly but surely putting things back together. But that is definitely something that I'm looking forward to, because in fact my partner, which his name is Tim McCain. He's trying to set up possible guest lecture events at colleges and schools and things of this sort, where I can share my story and give that sort of advice that you're talking about. So this is a new town for me. I don't really know anybody, so so I would definitely love to do those type of things.
Okay, so what we're gonna do then, Gopher Detention Center for Juveniles, the High Point Rehab Center, Caring Services Inc. I'm gonna send you over a couple of things.
Okay, see, there you go. That's what I need.
that you can look, talk to some people, and I'm also going to, we just do it like this, folks. I'm also gonna send you over some information. You can look in the chat box when we're done or during, whenever.
Right.
But I want to know your email, because I saw your LinkedIn and I'm like, okay, the LinkedIn needs to be filled out a little more so other people can see you. But there's an opportunity that I have with one of my clients, the African Diaspora News Channel, where we do take contributors and we do pay contributors. And I could definitely see you doing news or entertainment, because you might not be like, man, Kellen, I need something lighthearted, or you could do both. But you could do that, and and it could, you know, be just another platform where you give the game and you can give it from a point where we've never had it. Someone doing 26
Right.
years. Y'all don't know what it
Right.
is to do 26 minutes, but if you've ever been told to go to bed, it's worse than
Yep.
that.
Exactly.
Um,
See,
you
as
know,
a
and
grown
that
man. Yeah.
as a grown man, and that you're, you know,
Yeah.
even with this short conversation, I can tell that you still have your bearings. Not everybody has their bearings. Some folks are,
See.
they're bitter. You can tell it. Like, I'm bitter, but you know,
Yeah.
you're probably, you understand. I did the
Mm.
time. I did the crime. So I got to
Yeah.
do the
See.
time, even if I think it's
See.
unjust, even if nobody
Right.
was hurt, even if child
Mm.
molesters got out, you know,
It's way
real
sooner
much
than I
quicker.
did. Yes.
Yeah. You know,
Whew.
but that's
Yeah.
that's the system we're in. And it's also the reason why I'll tell you, since we're just having a conversation, why Sierra Leone and African
Mm.
countries like this are a must. And that people say, well, can
See.
you do it with a record? I just
Mm.
told you Sierra Leone is a must. You better
Oh,
read
see.
between the
See.
lines.
Lines is.
You can do it, but you need
um,
to pursue it, and you need to show that you'd be a good citizen. Everybody does. Everyone has to
see.
prove that you'd
See.
be a good citizen.
Exactly.
So, you know, and there's a theater out there. One of our past guests, it's
Mm-hmm.
yet to air yet, but she's opening up the country's first movie theater. Fabian,
Wow.
you
See.
know, yeah, young woman too. Open up the
Yeah.
first, you know, movie theater there. So there's opportunity there.
Mm.
Now, with this movie, are you guys crowdfunding it? How are you finding the funds?
Once again, literally out of our own pockets at this stage. What we
Okay.
are trying to do, because we're in the post production phase, and in the editing phase. We're closing in on our first, like, rough draft. We're putting together the music. That's sort of like the next part. But once it's done, our primary focus is going to be on promoting it in order to generate the interest, the buzz that we need, so that we'll have some leverage when we sit down with streaming services. Because ideally, that's where I see the film, being distributed on a streaming service. I'm literally shooting for the stars, because I'm basically making the argument that if streaming services like Stars can, do the power and the BMF and all these stories that sort of kind of focus on the more negative aspects of our community, that they should be willing to show a film that will focus on more of a positive aspect of our community as well. So that's
They
ideally
should.
where I'm right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm shooting for. Yeah.
they should, but in
Mm.
today's, you know, film market, we
Mm.
almost have to look at whatever we see. You know, people are arguing, and you were
Mm.
still locked up. If my timeline's right, people are
Right.
arguing where Monique said this about Netflix, where we have to
Mm.
use the Dame Dash and the Dr.
Dame
Boyce
Dash is
Watkins
another. Yeah. He's
and
another
say
one of our area, people that we want to sit down with as well. Yeah.
who had property right where you're at
Mm.
in North
Right.
Carolina trying to do things. But I say we don't need to rely on the big names.
Mm.
We just
Right.
need to create. If we
Right.
create as artists, the things happen, but we cannot
Right.
rely on anyone. And I will say this, your cousin,
Mm.
I went to this event prior to COVID, and I'm
Mm.
told in March, the NATPE.org, folks, look that up, NATPE.org.
Mm.
They are having another event, but I met your cousin. He has to be your cousin, Byron Allen. He
Oh
has to be
wow.
your cousin. Yeah, you know, he has to be.
Yeah, you
I
know
met.
what? I need to call cousin Byron. Yeah, I need to get. It's been a little while. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was there, and he told me. He said, "I built my career off this conference." You know, he was like, "You, he
Mm.
might." He's like, "You might not even have been born then." I said, "No, I was born. You know, I was just born, but I was
Okay.
born. I just
Peace.
came out
Peace.
the oven."
Yeah.
And so, or events like that that are done here in South Florida. every
Okay.
year for the last 30 years, except for COVID. That's where
Right.
all the buyers are. And it's an expensive
Oh,
conference.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
it's an expensive conference, but the hack is
Mm,
this. I
mm,
paid the $1,000+ to go, and I learned a lot.
right.
And I met a lot of
Mm,
good people. But then at the bar
right.
area at the Fontainebleau, I noticed half the
Mm.
people didn't even have a badge. So half the people just come to parking lot pimp and hear good ideas,
Right.
drink, the
See,
buyers drink for
see.
free because we want something from them. And it's something that you
They
guys
just
should
show
really
up.
just
Yeah.
show up and
Yeah, right.
talk with
How about that?
HBO, Netflix,
See,
everybody from
see.
around the world comes.
Wow. See, listen, brother, you teaching me a whole lot. I thought I was supposed to be teaching something. You teaching me a whole lot because
Well, I
I was not, familiar with with that at all. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
iron
definitely want
sharpens
to put that on
iron.
the teach. Right.
Yeah,
That's it.
and a lot of our I say pseudo activists nowadays, because you've been
Mm,
around long enough to know that just because you say that don't
yeah.
mean you willing to live and die that.
Teach. Teach. Teach.
But a lot of the pseudo activists, they're coming on board, and it's so easy. I mean, you're wise
Mm,
enough to know and say, ask them one question about this and they won't know. But how are you going to
mm,
talk about group economics? You didn't even read Dr.
mm.
Claude's book, but you're quoting it. You saw the
Teach.
cover. you know
Teach.
but
Hey,
I
that you now that you make that point, I gotta share this story about how I met Kwame Ture. So I helped co-found the organization MOSL, Men of Stolen Legacy, while I was at Boston University. So this is a bunch of brothers, conscious brothers, college kids, trying to put something together. So we go to see his a lecture at another university, and there was a bunch of controversy. People were protesting. I didn't know this stuff was happening. So after it was over, we helped with his security, and we got him to some like a side room, on the campus. So we got to speaking to him. So we introduced ourselves. Oh yeah, we're the men of the stolen legacy. Woo, woo, woo. So he said, oh yeah, it's a stolen legacy. Yeah, that was a very good book. Have you read it? So it's about like 4 or 5 of us in this organization, and so we looking at each other like nobody has read the book. We just took the title and ran with it. Thought it was cool. You know what I mean? So that was like very embarrassing. To be the first time to be a legend like that. But I know what you mean, because when I was a kid, I did the same thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. It's not about what you did as a kid, is as a
yeah.
40-year-old man now,
Mm,
and on these social platforms pushing something that you really don't believe in, because as soon as it's like the old movie
yeah.
Hollywood Shuffle, as soon as you get a job,
Wow.
the hustle
See,
stops. The
that's
everything. Oh, it's all
see,
well, the
see.
Democrats really aren't that bad,
That
because
bad.
they gave me money, and I
See,
got funding.
yep. See, yep.
In
Crabs in the barrel. Yeah.
yeah. It was we, but like Michael Jordan, when you lost the game, it becomes,
Mm,
I and we can be interchangeable.
right.
So now,
Exactly.
as an actor, and you're financing everything yourself, do you even have the ambition or the drive to say, you know what, I want to go over to New York or LA to validate me? Or are you really
Mm.
content in doing it yourself?
I'm gonna tell you, man. This mentality that I have was like born when I was in high school, and not to brag, but just to be truthful. I was at least one of the best students in the theater department at the Baltimore School of the Arts, and people would talk about that Hollywood, New York, and all that. At an early age, I just that was never an ambition of mine. I was always and even at that time, I wasn't pro conscious or pro black, if you will, but I was like, I want to have my own. Like I want to, if I want to do theater, I want to have my own theater. I want to do my own, thing. So I've carried that, mentality, ever since. And so it has manifested in this drive and this desire to be, to be independent, stay independent, so that I can do the sort of work that I want to do. You know what I mean? Does that mean that I wouldn't partner with, those big names or whatever? Of course, but it would have to be a partnership because I understand that sign your soul over. You're pretty much just taking dictation from people who don't really have the same passions, the same experiences, that you have. So that independence and that freedom, if you will, that's very, very important to me.
Okay, I love it. I love it. And what that really means is you're more in love with the art and the
Right.
process than you are with
Exactly.
the profit and what you can purchase with that.
See.
It's,
Exactly.
and there's no right or
Right.
wrong for anybody who said, nah,
Right.
Ken, I need the money. My mama needs surgery. I
Yeah.
get it. Go get mama surgery.
Oh, listen. Now, don't get me wrong. I need the money too. You know what I mean? But like, there's a reality that when you are, doing certain work and it starts to, catch the public's attention. Like when we were performing that play, Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare, we ended up getting the attention of the local news, and they covered us for like 2 days. So people came out and they loved it. The response was just, off the chain. So the powers that be in the city, they send you someone and they make you that offer. Listen, we'll bankroll you, we'll give you this, we'll give you that, but you got to come in with us. And they never explicitly said it. Oh, well, you got to change this or you got to stop saying that and all that sort of thing. But I understood that that's what came with it. You know what I mean? So I would turn that offer down, and probably 2 months later, that's when we were arrested. so you know what I mean? So I understand the reality of the strings that are attached to offers like that. So that's why I'm very big on having my own, being able to produce, from my, from my own efforts, and basically, working with my own people. And listen, man, let us put something together. So if there's a deal on the table that we don't like, we can walk away from. You know what I mean? You got to have that position, if you will. You got to have that, mindset, because if not, then yeah, you're going to believe that, whatever they say goes, and that's not necessarily true.
Let me ask, when you were, robbing banks, how long did that last? And, what would you say, how much did you take to get 26 years? Was it, millions, or did you, steal $10 and they said, let's make an example out of you?
Yeah, right. I mean, relatively, it was basically like, yeah, let's, they got $10 and let's get them. From the robberies that they did indict us with, I would say that it was probably close to $500,000. Yeah.
So you've touched,
Mhm.
physically,
Right.
at least $500,000, and you
Mhm.
got out, maybe like a year ago or so. You
Mhm.
are gonna win. So you really don't
Mhm.
need their money, because you know what 500,000
Mhm.
feels like. You know that
Right.
half a
Exactly.
million
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
when you yeah, when you feel it in your hand, no matter how you get
Yeah.
it, it's still not
Get it.
enough. You're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, I need to flip this
And,
and flip this.
right. Exactly.
You've touched this money, so you'll get it again. I mean, because you're
Mhm.
just gonna it's like whatever you want to do again, that's
Mhm.
just how life works. If you put the effort and do what you're supposed to do, you will get that money again, and even more than that. And that's when it's like,
Mhm.
wow, what if I just did this in the beginning, if I would have been working
Right.
with that side of the brain? But
Right.
even Tata, Jay-Z's friend,
Mhm.
when Jay-Z says,
Mhm.
even Tata's jumped over you. He's only 5'6" and he had to do a bid. Um,
Mm. See.
that he's gone to another level. and
See.
you've done enough life. You're going to go to another level. Now, when you get
Mm,
to that level, what is something that you want to do for the community? We call it a community give
mm,
back over here, that you could see
mhm,
yourself doing now or in the near future.
mhm. Well, the main thing that I'm going to do is employ our people. Um, I've been like I joined a clubhouse in the film, like filmmaker clubhouse, the things of this sort, and just talking to in that business, Black and Latino people who have been in that business for a long time, and to hear the sort of like the dissatisfaction experience with that industry because basic own people are not in positions of power. Their own people are not to give green lights to projects. Their own people aren't in positions to hire and fire, things of this sort. And so that's the first thing that I want to give back to my community is a company, I see entertainment, provide employment, provide finance, provide the green light for your projects when the others won't do so. You follow? So
Mhm.
that's my main thing. And then the next thing, of course, is young people. I've got to come up with to what I would like to do is almost kind of recreate the opportunity that was created for me, provide a place for young men and women to delve into the various arts who may not have the luck to get into a Baltimore School for the Arts, to go to a conservatory or things of that sort. I would like to be able to provide that sort of training and that sort of exposure to young people in inner cities and urban areas who may not necessarily have access to it. And like the point that my movie makes is that the experience of having to live in these inner cities and these ghettos and all this sort of thing will give you insight into theater, music, art that other people just won't have because they don't have that experience. So I would like to do that, to make that available to our community.
And so the give back is real. So if there's
Mm.
any, venture capitalists, angel investors, and you say, hey, I want to do something, and North Carolina is one of those states, that's just every time I go to Charlotte. I'm not gonna lie. I drive
Oh
through
yeah,
maybe the
I just
HBCUs.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
visited my daughter's daughter in Charlotte for the holiday. Yep.
Man, so grandpa came to Charlotte and
Mm.
and did it big. I'll say, for those of you who are watching, say, grandpa, you sure that's not a
Mm.
glitch? Yeah, black don't crack if you don't smoke it. uh
Yeah,
now
right.
now with the acting, do you just enjoy the acting, or is it also the producing? Do you enjoy any of the background being like, I also like being a
Man, listen,
gaffer too?
listen. I love um, I love the hustle just in general. I love the meetings. Hey, listen, we got this meeting set up. I love all of that. I love the organizing the shoots, trying to get locations. Every aspect of it. I really, really, really enjoy it. One of the first sets that I was able to be on, I was a PA or production assistant for another independent film directed by a sister named Shante Lawrence. And she's working on a series now called Not Without a Fight. And this was like, I think this was the first time I stayed up 24 hours straight, between traveling to the place, working, I don't know how many hours we were on that set shooting, then going back. And so by the time that I was actually able to lay down in the bed, 24 hours had passed, and I loved every moment of it. And so that just sort of solidified for me that filmmaking was something that I wanted to do. The filmmaking business is what I want to be a part of, and And that's how you know that that's what you should do, is that when you're working ridiculous hours, it doesn't seem like you're working. That's how you know you're where where you need to be. Because like at the pizza shop, listen, man, I'm looking at the clock every 10 minutes because it's just not, that's not my passion. That's not what I, really want to do. But it's paying some bills, so I gotta do it until things start popping.
And the fact that, this is me just giving my 2 cents in, because I've worked at, fast food as well. And it's my challenge to myself in every job, especially the ones I got fired for, which the majority of them, that's why I have a business. But the angle is, what can I learn from here? And could I own one of these? Will I dedicate myself enough to, okay, I know how to fix these pizzas. Do I know how to fix the register if it goes out? Do I know, can I run all of this myself? Because now it's not about the pizza shop and the payment. It's about what I can gather for this for later on. And what I found out being a consultant is I now have clients and they say, how do you know about how to do a pizza shop or a trucking company and how to change the oil on a big truck? I said, oh, you thought I was always here. I had to, I had to do this. So it's what you can learn, because you come to Sierra Leone and you can run a pizza shop with the system. We have pizza there, but your system may be different, and it may be better because we're here in the West, and there's technology that we have and use that in some countries they're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? An app for pizza? Why would I have that? Because your tourists want it, and it makes it easier, because some of us are antisocial and we just want to talk to people and not talk, or talk to apps and not talk to people.
So not people,
that's the dyslexia coming out, but it's a gift. But that's a real diagnosis too. People say, oh, Kellen, you're making fun of dyslexics. No, I am one. So that's why I'm telling you, sometimes it comes out like that. But but I love this. And, we're going to talk more about this movie. Hopefully you guys can come to the natpe.org. Another great one, that Urban Home Entertainment, Mr. Dungy, who is the only Black distribution company that I know. He says MIP in France is also a good conference. And so, you have Byron Allen at NATPE. Mr. Dungy was there with me as well. And we, and I just love the whole Dungy family. I will give you this word of encouragement, because I just aired this interview recently with Christina, who did the film Love You Right. And it's on Amazon.
I watched her interview. Yeah.
Did you watch the film?
That was a very no, I haven't been able to catch the film yet, but I watched her interview, and it was very inspiring, and it kind of let me know that I was on the right track, because so much of what she had experienced, I was like, okay, man, I went through the same thing, or I'm going through the same thing. Yeah. So that was a very good one.
Thank you. And I'm looking right now. I didn't see your comment saying that, so we would have never known that if we didn't have you as a guest. But that's why
it's on there though. I put
it's on there.
It's there.
Okay.
It's there.
Because
screenshot it. I got the proof.
Okay. If you say it, I'm gonna believe it. I'm gonna believe it, because we love your comments, you guys. When you guys leave comments, whether you inbox them, leave them there, to get the game and to really give it like this, where somebody can tell you they did 26 years in a federal prison, which some of y'all say, well, at least it was federal. No, you go do 26 minutes.
Listen, brother. That old because at one time the feds was a better place to do time than the state, but that all changed, and it all changed because the federal government basically was just rounding up any and everybody. I mean, they literally made an industry out of the prison system. So with that, that overcrowding, listen, like to this day, you're going to hear people and say, "Man, shoot, I was in the state. The state was better than this." Yeah, exactly. So that was how it used to be, maybe back in the '80s, but no, not anymore. You do not want to be in any federal prison anywhere right
And
now.
that's a real response. Even if it was
Yeah.
Disneyland, you don't want to be there, people, because you got some young fools, and I know some of y'all, because I was in the feds and talking like it's a badge of honor. But if you want it to be a badge of honor, go do some TED Talks. Go get paid $20K to give your testimony, so then you can hire us, and we can show you how to make $50K, $100K off your story. Exactly. So yeah, I appreciate that, because you do have platforms that are just, getting people, and some people are giving the real, but we noticed something. It's not necessarily us who can go make $1 million off us being the Wolf of Wall Street, or us being in the Gambino family, or whatnot, So I would say you write your book so we can, hear your story. We'll see the movies. Let the people know the best way to contact you if they have a role, or if they even have a position, some public speaking like we've been talking about. I truly believe that's going to happen for you in Jesus Christ's name, because your story needs to be told. The who, the what, the why is like, it wasn't even about me. It was about us. And I was willing to sacrifice, what I needed to sacrifice. So where can they, tap in and, reach out?
I'm currently on Instagram under CANDS. Can a nigga do Shakespeare? Plug in, tap in, DM me. Like I said, I'm also looking for artists who have music that they will be willing to contribute to the film. I'm looking for financing, of course. I'm looking for advice. I'm looking for any and everything that that you could possibly offer. Things that I don't even know I need. If you got it, please DM me on Instagram, CANDS.
Well, I'm definitely going to send over a song we just help produce and sponsor, and say, hey, if y'all find some room in there, use it. Young Kenyan boy we found at the orphanage in Kenya. And, in full disclosure, because again, sensationalism, I do this all day, but I don't do it here. I just thought he was a young boy who was an orphan. Come to find out, his stepdad owned the orphanage, but he still had his own testimony, because owning an orphanage isn't easy, and he has had to deal with his own issues. So, we've done some music together, and so I just sent that to you in the DM. And if, like I say, if you want to, use that, feel free, because we want to get the word out before he blows up as a superstar that I know he'll be.
Right. Hey, but listen, right? Because this is what I'm finding out. Even the rappers who aren't superstars, that these guys are really hard to to work with. They don't want to make meetings. They don't want to, because they don't tell you no. They don't tell you yes. So it's just, it's been hard. But mentioning a young person, there is one. This brother is, I believe he might be 16, but I think he's 15. But he produces beats. His name is he goes by Beats by JT. And man, listen, the work that he is putting together is phenomenal. Listen, the young people out there, they are, they're doing their thing too. You know what I mean? There's some negatives out there as well, but there's some young girls and boys out there that are really doing very well. And one of them is contributing to the soundtrack of Can a Nigga Do Shakespeare as well. So I would love to hear what you have.
No, that's beautiful. And these YouTubers, they a lot of them, the first thing they'll say is, well, how much does it pay, before they read the script. But when budgets come available, it's a way to highlight. And the youth are doing some great, amazing things. I just encourage the youth to get yourself a mentor, a coach, a CPA, a lawyer, get all, because you don't trust, you know, people read more books on the industry and find a system. So when someone does reach out to you, you make sure you don't miss out on a great opportunity, because as an artist, we're not even supposed to be thinking about the money. We're supposed to be thinking about the art, and then the money comes. And then it's like, I've never, like you were mentioning earlier, I've never worked when I'm working for myself, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Supposed to do. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hours just fly by. There aren't enough hours in the day when you're doing what you want to do.
Yeah, it's a beautiful feeling. So you guys, if you do nothing else, tap in. You see the links in the description, whether you were watching or listening, especially if you're listening on our new partners, AYV Radio, African Young Voices, Freetown, Sierra Leone. Thank you for adding this to the, you know, all the great content that's out there. Salon Bobo, you know how we do. You guys share this with somebody. It will change their life. Y'all be blessed.
Are you tired of the violence, tired of the injustice, police brutality, rampant discrimination, lack of gun control in this failed bias socioeconomic experiment called America? Or maybe you need a break from the relentless grind and want to regain control of your destiny, your wealth, your health, and your purpose. Diversifiedgame.com has the right course for you. Prepare for my first trip to Africa. Looking to reconnect with your roots, start a new business, or just a fresh start. Africa, aka the motherland, is waiting. Don't let the Chinese and the Mzungus have the fun and also take over the motherland. From Cairo to Mombasa, from Dakar to Cape Town, Africa has something for everyone, from business opportunities to the most amazing people, safety, leisure, and landscapes. So opportunities abound. It is time for the diaspora to reconnect with their roots. Time to reconnect with the birthplace of humanity. Africa is the last frontier. Get your head in the game and reclaim your legacy. The writing is on the wall. Babylon is falling. Give up the stress, grind, and violence inflicted on our people on this continent, and prepare for a journey of restoration enjoyed by connecting with the land of your ancestors. Check out our new course and kick off your adventure at diversifiedgame.com.